Good evening, Lodi. Good to see everybody. Welcome to another View from 202. As you can see, I have some guests here with me at the table. We have an exciting, fun-filled hour for you, and we're going to keep it rocking and rolling. First thing, you will notice that we are all wearing masks and somewhat socially distanced. The COVID numbers in the state, in the county, and in our valley are off the charts. We can slow the spread, which we have to do. Our hospitals are getting overwhelmed. Please, 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 and I'm going to take mine off so you can actually understand me. Please be respectful of others and be respectful of yourself and wear a mask. This is not a political issue. It's a science issue. This slows the spread. And that's what we have to do right now. If you have anyone you know who works in healthcare, they will tell you how overwhelmed they are. And it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. And it's going to get a lot worse if we don't start paying attention. So do not gather indoors. Do not spend Thanksgiving with people who are outside of your biodome or your pod. Thank goodness for technology. It's not been fun. None of us enjoy not seeing everybody. For my family, this will be only the second time in 102 years or 101 years that we have not had Thanksgiving at our family farm. And it's hard. I will be the first to say it's my favorite holiday, mostly because of turkey, but and secondly, because I get to hang out with my fabulous family. But this year it's just not, it just can't happen that way. So please, please don't subject yourself, your family, friends, to one another's germs. Let's just stay. If we keep doing this, we know there's great news on the vaccination front, and we hope in another 5 or 6 months, we will, once the spring is here, it will be extra sweet because hopefully we'll have a vaccine. We'll be able to get back outside. So hunker in. It's just one holiday, folks, out of our whole lives. So just stay home, stay safe. If you go out, wear your stinking mask. Please, mask up, Lodi. Okay, second, it is Veterans Day. And I first want to take just a minute to thank every veteran who has ever served our country. I'm going to get verklempt talking about this. Your sacrifice is so humbling for what you do and what you're willing to give up. And I'm going to talk just for a minute about my great aunt, Alma Irene Groves, who was born in Lodi in 1988. And she was a nurse, and she enlisted in the armed forces and went on a ship over to France to serve in World War I. Unfortunately, when she got on the ship, she got sick and she died of the last pandemic. And she passed away, I believe, in 1918. And she is buried in France. They were not able to bring her remains home. She, I believe, is the only woman listed on the Lodi veterans, people who have lost their lives in war, on our memorial down at Veterans Park. And I'm so proud of great Aunt Alma. I wish I'd known her. I posted on my personal Facebook page a wonderful article that actually has some excerpts from her diary from when she went over to France, and the letter that was sent to my great-grandparents when she passed away. We miss her. You know, I miss that we never got to know her, and she gave so much. So to all of our veterans, I say thank you. Thank you for everything you've done for us. And many of us will never know what you sacrificed, but know that we appreciate it. Okay, I'm gonna get myself together here and change the subject. So I'd like to welcome these three fabulous women from the Interact Club. Interact is the high school equivalent of Rotary, correct? And they were kind enough to join us tonight. And to my right is Chef Grayson. All of us are products of Lodi, yay. These three women are involved in an organization that is all about service. And that's what we want to emphasize. We're here at Reach Out Lodi, which of course has such a great impact in our community. And Interact has helped make the most recent fundraiser for Reach Out Lodi happen. So I just want to ask you each to introduce yourselves. I understand you're all officers with Interact. So why don't you just tell us who you are, what you're in school, and what your role is with Interact. And feel free to take this off if you want people to understand you or speak clearly.
Okay, my name is Amelia Heider. I am in 11th grade at Lodi High School, and I'm the treasurer of Interact. I'm Phoenix Peterson. I am also in 11th grade, and I am the secretary.
My name is s01e08. I'm a senior at Lodi this year, and I'm the vice president of Interact.
Excellent. Thank you all so much. So how have you been involved in Interact for a long time?
It's actually my first year that I joined Interact.
Excellent.
I joined a little bit last year, but I had a lot of other clubs and sports to attend to,
Sure.
so I couldn't fully commit.
Okay.
But I was thinking about it the whole year, and my senior year, I really wanted to go in, and I did, and I tried. my best to do
Fantastic.
everything.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And you're graduating in May.
Yes.
Do you see service being part of your life beyond Lodi?
Yes, I've definitely considered many options that do with social welfare.
Excellent.
Anything, really just anything that helps anybody else. I'm really interested
Fantastic.
in it, and I really love doing it.
Good, good. And how about you, Amelia? How long have you
Yeah.
been with Interact?
This is also my first year. I kind of decided to join this year, especially because it's really interesting to see all the community service that continues to happen even through COVID. So I thought this would be a great year to join.
Excellent. And Phoenix?
This is also my first year.
You guys rock. Look at you.
I didn't really hear about it before this year, but then I saw it on like the announcements page and I was like, that sounds really cool. And I asked like my friends, like, hey, are you guys gonna do this? Like, is this something that is interesting? And Amelia said yes.
Excellent.
I also have another friend who also said yes. So I was like, all right, I'm signing up, and it's been really fun so far.
Good. So along with the Reach Out project, have you guys done other projects this fall or over the summer?
Over the summer, I was involved in a community service that was through my church in Madison.
Oh,
And
excellent.
so we did other fundraisers like that. That kind of it does something similar that our food pantry here at Reach Out Lodi does.
Excellent.
So we've been involved in a few fundraisers. too.
Good.
Especially one that helps build the most recent one that we've been involved in. Especially through COVID, we did a lot of through Zoom call and webinars, kind of like that. So
Good.
we actually have one coming up tomorrow
Oh,
about polio. But yes, that's one of our main ones that we've done this year.
excellent. And the Rotarians have been responsible for helping eradicate polio now worldwide, which is amazing, astonishing. Well, I'm so excited you guys are involved, and I want to thank you for everything you're doing. This has a huge impact. I've been a volunteer with Reach Out for, since the lockdown happened. I needed to be doing something, so they were kind enough to come and let me annoy them and answer phones. And this place is so near and dear to my heart, and it has such a tremendous impact on our community. And turning to another Lodi alum, Chef Grayson. So you are a 2011 grad?
That's correct. Yeah.
And what did you do after graduation?
So after graduating, I was in Madison for about 4 years, starting a career.
Okay.
After that, I excelled at cooking, and that brought me to New York, where I spent 2 years cooking Italian cuisine.
Wonderful.
In that role, I earned a scholarship to transfer to a restaurant in Napa Valley.
Oh, cool.
And that career opportunity allowed me then to prosper and travel to Italy, to Slovenia, and Germany
Oh, excellent.
before returning to the United States, at which point I opened a restaurant in New York City.
Oh, wow. And it was doing well, I assume, until...
Right, we were doing very well. As everybody knows, through these times, restaurants have suffered quite substantially. No one's going on as much. We had a tourism-driven restaurant as well, being in New York, and when that dried up, we decided to come home because we didn't know how long this was going to last.
Yeah, yeah. And your family has expanded recently.
This is true, yes. We were also pregnant at the time. The restaurant closed. So there was an essence of protecting that bundle of joy that was on its way. And in doing so, we said, let's go home. Let's go back to a community that's safe, familiar, and back to home, really.
Fantastic. How's it been being home?
Really, actually, quite comfortable.
Excellent.
Enjoying the open spaces as much as we can, especially with the good weather that we've been having.
Excellent. I'm so glad. And baby's doing well.
Very, very well, very healthy.
Excellent. So was this your brainchild, the Gourmet to Go?
It was. About 2 years ago, we did actually a dinner for 100 people at Fitz on the Lake.
Okay.
It was a sellout, and it was to eradicate polio at the time.
Excellent.
This time around, though, I saw Reach Out Lodi
Mhm.
doing their food drives. They were doing it every Friday. Now it's every other Friday. But with that, I said, "Wow, here's some people in the community helping the community through food," and that kind of led one idea to the next, to saying, "Why don't we serve this food to the community? And why don't I take some experiences that I've had in the past and bring that to the table for everybody to share in these times where you can't really go out to that restaurant, right? But now you can have it at home."
Well, so full disclosure, we did order the dinner last weekend that Chef Grayson prepared, and took it up to my wonderful mother-in-law. She's 92, and we all enjoyed it immensely, so much so that we signed up for the next 2 weekends. Chef Grayson has been a victim of his own success in that they are sold out for this weekend. However, if you go to reachoutlodi.org and look under events, you'll see there's a link to the following weekend, so a week from this weekend. There's the menu is listed there. You can sign up. It's $50 for 2 dinners. All the proceeds go to Reach Out. We have been helping with the food distribution that now is on the 1st and 3rd Fridays of the month. We hope through December, and the need has done nothing but increase, of course. And it's incredibly humbling to be over there in the morning when we get ready to start putting food in people's cars, to see the cars lined up from the elementary school all the way up to the nursing home.
Yeah.
And in the span of about an hour, we will load enough food for usually around 200, 220 families. So what you're doing is going to have such a long-lasting impact in the community. We're really blessed and grateful that you've been here to do this. Chef Grayson is also preparing Thanksgiving din-dins, which you can reserve. Also, more information at reachoutlodi.org under events. And there is one other Thanksgiving option through Reach Out. You can call and reserve a turkey. There are some free meals available. You can reserve a turkey and then set up an appointment to come and go through the food store and get all the other fixings that you need for your own turkey dinner, or you can save yourself the hassle and the potential disasters and have Chef Grayson cook your dinner. So I want to thank all of you. You are amazing. You are making a big difference in our community. Wonderful women. I hope you will continue to focus on community service, perhaps local governance, which is what we're going to change to shortly as a topic. But I thank you very much. You make a big difference in our community. Thank you. And Chef Grayson, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Take care. And I look forward to seeing you Saturday night when I come get my dinner. All right. So we're going to give us 2 seconds. People, if anyone's watching or watching later, give us 2 minutes. We're going to switch out here and I'll bring my other colleagues up. So thank you all. You get to run away. Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a good night, guys.
You too.
Nice job. Congratulations.
Thanks, Ashley. I think, Carl, why don't you switch over one? I don't think Eric's going to make it. So. What was that?
He'd be already if he was coming.
I would think so, yes. And he may just be completely overwhelmed. Okay, so thank you all. Nancy, come on in a little bit. I'll scooch over a little closer here to Carla. So we're going to try to stay socially distanced here. So we wanted to talk with you all about running for local office. We were all dumb enough to do it. You should be too. I'm kidding. It's been incredibly rewarding. We all got into it for different reasons. So I'm going to stop for a second and ask my wonderful friends here to introduce themselves. And Carla, may I start with you?
Yes, I am Carla Faust. I am a resident of the town of Lodi. Go through my town of supervisor. You want to go all the way through that or just?
Yeah.
All right, I currently am town supervisor number 4 for the township of Lodi.
Number 4.
Yeah.
That's an auspicious number.
I don't know what it takes to be number 4, but I'm number 4.
You're number 4.
I'm not number 1.
That's a beautiful thing. Number 4 is a good place to be. And Ashley,
Hi, Ann, thanks for inviting me to this.
it's nice to have you here.
I'm Tom
You guys keep
Sharon,
talking. I'm just going to close the door.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm Tom Sharon, West Point. West Point is right now looking for a new treasurer. Our treasurer has announced that she and her husband are moving to be with grandkids.
That's
We
good.
actually, she posted that about a year ago.
Oh, that's right, Lana, man.
Yeah, Lana Zeman. So, Lana, while I find her to be absolutely irreplaceable, she's been fabulous as treasurer. We do desperately need a new treasurer. It's an elected position, but it's one of those that has the bonus of getting paid. Most of us get paid for our elected offices. It's overwhelming. Sometimes you can buy lunch, a couple times a month with your pay. So we're in this not for the financial rewards, but the rewards are ample. So.
Thanks, Ashley. How long have you been town chair?
I was trying to remember. I think I'm in my second term as town chair,
Okay,
and my term expires this April.
okay, so you're up in April, okay. And Nancy?
Nancy Long. I live here in the city. I am a county board supervisor for District 27, which is the city of Lodi. And I have to say that when I was expressed interest in running, they said, your pay might equal a set of tires in a couple of years.
Oh, yay!
And I have replaced my tires twice in my term. I'm currently in my fourth term on the county board and enjoying it and some of the challenges, but yes, I guess we'll get into some of that.
Yes, yes. Thank you all for agreeing to be here. So we all came to being elected officials through different paths, and I'd love for us to share with the folks who might watch this, why did you decide to run for whatever you're perched in now? And Carla, I'll start with you.
Great question, actually. And for me, it kind of evolved. And that I've heard you mention a couple times with your previous people, graduate of Lodi. Well, I'm not originally from Lodi. So I'm a transplant here. My husband and I have been here, we are, 21 years, I think.
Wow.
So I think it officially puts me in the town of
Yes.
Lodi. But I'm originally from Dubuque, Iowa. My husband's from Madison, Wisconsin. And truly, I started getting involved in my community. So when we had children, we found out the best way to get to know community and people was to get involved. And so I kind of put my heart and soul into it. We are self-employed. We own a business downtown Lodi, construction and property management. And so our sons we have 3 sons, I should say, and could walk to school. And from there, I evolved into getting involved with my chamber. I have a marketing and business degree background, so that's kind of my interest. And was chamber president, was on when we merged the Lodi and Lake Wisconsin into one chamber. Served many years on that, involved in Activate Lodi, and one of my second term as Optimist president, and you're next. And from there, it evolves. What else can I do to help my community? And I've been asked a couple of times if I would consider running for the town board, and it kind of came up that I think it's time for me to maybe give back in another way. And it was an area that I was always interested in. And granted, I'm in my first term on town supervisor, and it's definitely a learning curve, definitely different, bringing a business background to a government position. But so far it's rewarding and challenging at the same time, and I can't think of anything better to do right now.
Oh, that's fantastic.
In a positive way.
Good.
Right?
That's great. Yes, yeah. No, that's wonderful. Thank you. I'll say for myself, I worked at UW-Madison and was on nonprofit boards for years and did the president-elect, president, past president thing with numerous professional associations and nonprofits. And former Mayor Fisk asked me if I was willing to take a seat on the Utilities Commission. And let me tell you, folks, I knew nothing about electric utility, water utility, or wastewater utility. I'm not sure how much I know to this day, but that was about 10 years ago. Kind of got my foot in the door. And for me, Lodi was a bedroom community. I commuted to Madison. My social life was there. My girlfriends were there. And that was where I was probably 80 hours a week early in my career. And as I aged, I won't say mature because we know better than mature because we all know better than that. But as I got, thinking about retirement and realizing that this was going to be it, and I didn't want Lodi to be a bedroom community anymore. So I eventually was appointed to an open seat on the city council and threw my hat in the ring that spring, and Big surprise was unopposed. Actually, I ran as a write-in, got 5 write-in votes, so woohoo, here I am. And I was in the midst of serving my 3rd term, 2-year term as an alder when I ran for mayor and was fortunate enough to get elected. So that's been my path. Service has been a big part of, I think it's just for some of us in our DNA, it's definitely a calling. For me, it's definitely a calling. Life is about giving back when we're so blessed. For me, that's what it's been about. So it's all local, and we'll get back to that. So Ashley, what drew you to elected?
Yeah, super question, man. I was asked.
Oh, really?
I mean, that's how I became ultimately town chair in West Point. The Dean Schwartz asked me if I would serve on the Plan Commission. I served on the Plan Commission. A position opened up to be on the board. I ran for a board of supervisors, served as a supervisor. Position opened up. Dean retired. I ran for chair. Was elected chair.
Excellent.
But yeah, I mean, service is being part of DNA. I've been doing community stuff since as long as I can remember. I was in community theater as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I played Joe in our town.
Oh, excellent.
The paper carrier.
I love it.
My dad played Doc. I was, just a little kid. And I've been doing stuff and been service organizations with Lions Club and Rotary.
Mm-hmm.
I served as a city councilman who lived in Iowa. In Iowa, I was a caucus chair.
Okay,
Went to the
wow.
state caucus, which was really lively in '88.
Wow.
I've been involved in political stuff quite a bit. I think what really motivated me was Ronald Reagan's first inaugural speech, when Ronald Reagan said that the problem is government. I've never believed that. The government has provided all kinds of stuff, for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's our Constitution. It's us. If you identify the government as the problem, you're saying we're the problem. And I think that humans are uniquely qualified to work together and make a better community.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to do my part.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Ashley. So Nancy, how about you? What drew you?
Well, I share a number of things with the rest of you. Like Carla, I'm a transplant to Lodi. I met my current husband about 12 years ago, and he is a native Lodian.
Mm-hmm.
And moved here. We married now 8 years ago almost, and Lodi became my home. And I am from a small family farm area up in Trumbull County. I grew up with the whole idea too of getting involved in your community. My parents were in the local community club. They were 4-H leaders. I'm a 4-H kid.
Awesome.
And so, as you say, you grow up with this, it becomes part of your DNA.
Mm-hmm.
And like Ann, I went to UW Madison and got my learning there, proud alum, and ended up working there for 36 years. And as part of that experience, became involved and served several roles in professional organizations. And then upon retirement, I did some teaching part-time. But when I came here, it was a way too to get involved in the community and find ways to give back.
Mm-hmm.
And like you, I was approached, would you consider running for county board? And I said yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And here I am. And it's been rewarding, and I think very much, as you folks have said, it does become part of you giving back, getting involved, seeing what government does.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, there's ups and there's downs, but I found my relationship with county government to be a good one on the whole, and a role I enjoy.
Excellent. That's great. So, as frustrating as politics can seem to everybody, and boy, have we been through a time where just everything is political and everything is chaotic. The one thing I have always loved, and that resonates with me so much, is that everything is local, and politics is local. This is what we can control. And I ran for the state assembly in 2018 and did not get elected. And wasn't sure, I was still on council and wasn't sure what I was gonna do. But I had an epiphany one night thinking, this is what we can control. Even if I had gotten into the legislature, we're working at that sort of 65,000 foot view, and I'm a policy wonk. My doctorate is in educational policy. But seeing what we were doing in city council and doing it here have an impact right here in the community, to hear feedback from friends and family and neighbors that what we were doing was making a difference, made me realize that regardless of the noise elsewhere, we can create what we want to create. Our valley here, our area here is going to be as wonderful as we want to make it, and we have control over that. And I think for people who don't know, when you run for local office, when you run for the county board, when you run for an alderperson or a supervisor on a town board or the county board, it's a nonpartisan. So you don't pick a party. And we'll talk about how to find out more information about all of that. But that was one of the things that drew me. I think our political system right now is pretty broken, with two parties controlling everything. At this level, there's none of that noise going on. It's just all of us working together. Were you gonna say something?
I was just gonna, if I could just jump
Please.
in a second. I couldn't agree with you more. And this morning, a couple of the young ladies that were here are part of what's called FLAG, Future Leaders in Government, that's part of UW Extension that works through the county. So it's fun to
Fabulous! Oh my gosh!
But one of their topics was how to relate to government and learn about government. And I think the conversation always becomes, well, state government and federal government, they're over there. They don't do anything. It's so controversial. But local government touches you. It touches you in a lot of ways. And so I think, like you're saying, it is something that you realize that you can impact. It is something that you can work and see results.
Yes.
And becomes more meaningful that way, I think.
And Nancy and I have a great recent example. So I will make this as quick and concise as I can, but the county has the state mandates that our counties fund our libraries at 70% of their operating budget. Some counties do more. They have to do at least 70%. So, for instance, Dane County funds all their libraries at 100%. So all the libraries get 100% of their operating budget. Columbia County, the last couple of years, and Nancy, this now is the chair of the county library board. And the last couple of years, they've been able to eke it up a little bit. So we were getting above that 70%. I think it was around 75, 76%.
And it came up as higher as 75, 76, and it's plateaued there.
Yes, yes. And this year, for whatever reasons, it was deemed that they would not give anything over the 70%, which for our libraries, a few thousand may sound like a pittance, but it is a huge amount of money for public libraries. And it meant, it was going to have an impact here in our community. And so Nancy contacted me and said, the county board is going to be having a public hearing on the budget, and would you be want to come to the meeting and or speak? So Jesse Clark and I, Jesse is the vice president of the library board, and I should mention that Nancy and I were president, and Nancy was president of the library board. I followed her, succeeded her as president of the library board, and Jesse's on the board now. So anyway, Jesse and I schlepped up to Portage, and we listened to the budget hearing. When they got to that part of the budget, I went up and basically said this was, said some words on behalf of the library. And so after all the comments were made, the board supervisors had a chance to suggest budget amendments. So Nancy suggested proposed a budget amendment to restore back up to about the 75 or 76%. It was a $30,000 budget amendment. And so Nancy proposed it, and there was some discussion, and right there the supervisors voted and it passed. So in that investment of a Monday morning or whatever day it was this week, Nancy, we worked together, we've had a chance to say some words, and the money got restored. And we had just heard before that the Wyacina Library is in danger of closing. So this money is going to make a big difference. So I want to thank you for doing that. And it's such a salient and recent example of how this makes a difference, how your service can make a difference. That being said, we all come into our positions, and I think one of the things of getting older is the humility to know how little you know. And how many of us had a clue what this was going to be like when we got elected? So I want to ask each of you what has been the most surprising, and it's okay to say if something's frustrating, but maybe some good things that have happened. And Nancy, why don't we start with you this time? I'll put you on the spot.
Well, I coming into it, my first term, it is overwhelming. You realize the complexity of local government, how many things go on, from the judiciary to roads to health and human services, which is just immense, and any number of other programs. It's an overwhelming feeling, and a learning curve, Carla, as you mentioned. I found myself looking at thick reports and financial statements and expense reports. And so to start with, yes, it's a little overwhelming, but I think I found a little bit of help coming out of my background as an archivist and records manager, and knowing how the process of government works, and that was very helpful. But it is challenging to start with. So I don't know if I necessarily call that a surprise, but in a way, I guess maybe somewhat, in that you don't expect maybe the volume of it to start with.
Yes.
But on the upside, through the years, I've met some really wonderful people, and realized how many positive things go on through local government. And we have certainly, and I know here in Lodi as well, I'm sure in the towns and in the county departments, we have a number of employees who do their very best to provide numerous services to our county residents, and do a spectacular job. I cannot pass by without saying what a wonderful job our public health department is doing, and Susan Lorenz, our public health nurse, and her crew dealing with this COVID crisis has been just amazing. It's an overwhelming, talk about overwhelming.
Yes.
So yes, challenges, but also some very positive things, I think, and personally rewarding. I think when you see some of these things turn out well, or see some plus sides, it's rewarding.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Ashley, you want to talk a little bit about surprising joys, frustrations, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, it comes with surprises. It comes with frustration. No question about that. I mean, you're spot on, Nancy. But for me, the biggest kind of surprise event happened on March 17th of 2019.
Okay.
We had an abnormally warm day.
Oh, yes.
And that abnormally warm day came on the heels of a winter that had given us rain in December and January, rain that fell on snow. It acted like a sponge and froze into that snow. And on that warm day, the 17th of March, it melted.
How can we forget?
Yes.
And that melt caused 5 roadways in West Point to overtop with water. We had a gentleman had 2 6-inch hoses in his backyard with tractors and pumps, pulling water out for 3 days. Took 3 days.
Wow.
I watched Don in his canoe heading out from his garage to his shed to try to salvage items.
Unreal.
So for me, the surprise in that was that climate change is here and it's now. It prompted me to do some investigating, and among other things, these 3 basin lakes, seepage lakes on West Point's southern border, and try to explain the anomaly of rising water. It was high on the 17th of March, but it's up 10 feet higher than that now.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No, the Fish Lake Road is completely underwater. We've had to raise Shep Road.
It is more in places.
Yes.
It's a new landscape. And I had that sense on the 17th of March when I went around town, visiting with people, addressing people's needs, to see Bill Pavley sandbagging in a spot in his yard that nobody ever would have guessed water would be coming in there, but he was
Wow.
trying to prevent water from getting into his house.
Mhm.
You know, visiting with Al Trinan and the tunnel underneath Highway 60 that we
Sure.
walked through to get into the corn maze
Yeah.
was completely underwater.
Jeez.
You know, and he had this post in his yard that he was tracking the water as it had come up. But it was, you know, it was like that throughout town. Just and then all of the changes that that event brought, and all of the opportunities I've had to meet people that have been affected by it.
Yeah.
And conversations I've gotten to have with folks from the Army Corps of Engineers, you know, to working with state legislators, trying to get aid and assistance.
Mhm.
And that's just here. I can't imagine what St. Charles, Louisiana has been through,
Oh, yeah, with the
You know,
hurricanes.
having suffered the effects of 2 hurricanes just this year,
Mhm.
and the consequences of that.
Absolutely.
I think that aspect of local governance for me has been the most surprising, the most instructive, most humbling, very humbling event.
That's great. Thank you very much. It's incredible.
Mhm.
So Carly, you're the newest to the perch.
Right. So a lot of thoughts hearing you both speak because I love both the comments. And here's what it comes down to for me is that your town board or your city government is only as strong as the people that serve on it,
Absolutely.
right? And I learned that very quickly. When you have, in any organization, when you have a strong nucleus that you can work off each other and get something done,
Mhm.
extremely powerful.
Mhm.
And so to come on to and be new and have to kind of navigate where things go, how it
Sure.
work. Nancy and I kind of talked prior to this, having a business background, we're used to go, go, go. I gotta make a decision, let's go. And so that was eye-opening because it was like, well, wait, you know.
We only meet once a month.
Right, well, we'll bring this up in next month's meeting, and you're like, what? Can't we decide right now? And every person that comes in, I found myself, you know, they talk about a road washout, like to what you're saying, Ashley, and you'd be sitting there, that's important. And then the next person is like, that's important. And all of a sudden I'm sitting there, oh my God, I got a list of what's important. And because everyone that takes the time to come in, it is important to them.
Absolutely.
So then all of a sudden you're trusted to try and find the right solutions for them within the budget that you have.
Yeah.
And so that's been challenging to want to help everybody. Because if you took the time to come in to say that my road is washing out
Mhm.
and I just need some gravel, and it kind of sounds that way, I just need some gravel. And it's like, how can we get them some gravel?
Mhm.
And it just doesn't work that way. And so it's been a learning curve that way. But I feel like we're gonna have 3 open positions possibly, right? We have 3 members on, I don't know if all 3 will run again or won't run again. I can't speak to them. But then you start looking at it like, okay, if they choose not to, who can I ask? Just
Yes.
as we've been asked,
Mhm.
that can help us with this process. And so it's, how do we want our township to move forward?
Mhm.
You sit on commissions. So I sit on the fire commission, which we need a new fire truck. We're looking at a new
Among other
fire
things.
station, right?
Yes.
Everybody wants something. It's Christmas. What's your list?
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden it's like, well, that now brings more issues. So you're not only dealing with, as Nancy would say, a stack of, oh my gosh, I gotta go through the budget, I gotta go through this, I gotta make sure I understand. Then all of a sudden the fire guy, you know, Bobby's saying, hey, why don't you take a look at this feasibility study? Oh, okay.
How many millions?
Yeah, right. Okay. And then you need to go back and talk. So it's just, it's, lack of a better word, it's awesome and you've already addressed it. What I love about it is I don't care what your political leaning is. It does not matter to me
Absolutely.
because I'm not sitting here as a Republican or as a Democrat or a conservative or a liberal. I'm sitting here as, what can I do to better my community? How can I help my township? How can I help you? And that I find very rewarding.
That's beautifully said. Wow, I love that. So yeah, I love what you all have talked about. It's hard to know even where to start. I think for me, one of the things I didn't realize, and I don't know how it works on the town boards, I know the county is somewhat similar. So I thought when I got asked to serve on city council that it would be I thought I can do one meeting a month, the council met
Yeah.
2 meetings a month, and I can handle that. And they let me live with that silly thought in my head until I actually got elected. And then they're like, okay, here are your committee assignments. And I'm like, committees? No one told me anything about committees. So there are other things that go along often with being in our elected positions. There are, at the city, we have, 6-7 committees. Most of them are made up of alders. We've got the fire commission, the EMS commission, the library board, and then the internal committees. So there are a few more responsibilities than just the board meetings or the common council meeting, whatever entity you happen to belong to. That being said, the committees are where a lot of the work happens and a lot of the research, and then it gets kicked up to the deciding board for approval or more discussion. The pace of government, I think everybody struggles with. And even knowing how government works, there are times when, I'm just like, really? Really? Working on our farm stuff and trying to get the farm replatted, and 2 years to get through all the layers of everything. And it's just the way things work. And especially in small communities like ours, we do only meet once a month. Now, it doesn't mean special meetings don't happen, and if things are urgent, we can get stuff done. But for the most part, you have to come in with a little bit of patience and understanding. I think Wisconsin has always had a great reputation for clean government, especially at our level. People don't get involved without being incredibly committed to what they're doing. And I have to say, with all the information/misinformation out about elections, and having just come through what for our clerks and our election workers was probably the most difficult and challenging election they have ever been through, I get a little irritated with people. When you start talking about widespread fraud, you are impugning you are maligning the integrity of people who really take great pride in doing an amazing job keeping our elections open and free and fair and above board and transparent.
It's offensive.
It is.
I mean,
It is.
in West Point, we had 90% voter turnout.
That's about what Lodi had too.
Our same-day registrations we had 60 same-day registrations.
And we had 104. I couldn't believe it.
The mail-in ballots, we had almost 800 mail-in ballots in West Point.
Mm-hmm.
And the state law prohibits counting those until election day.
Right.
So, you add up the work of a regular election with all of those other things that were thrown in. And
Yes.
to think it was done accurately, it was done promptly. Columbia County results were posted very quickly.
Yeah, our workers were there till 1 a.m.
It's just, I find it offensive.
I do too. And let's take a minute to say thank you, clerks, election workers, poll workers. You guys are fabulous. You kick butt.
Rock
We
stars,
love you.
yeah.
They are rock stars. For me, one of the other surprises is it's complicated. Everything we do, I think one of the things that also frustrates me about the political scene is that people tend to want to look at things black and white, red or blue if you're in that so inclined. Things are not that simple. And I think if anything, over the last, certainly in my lifetime, we have realized how interconnected, we're realizing it more all the time, how interconnected everything is. And my other reason for wanting to do this tonight is we need diverse opinions and life experiences and paths and the whole shoot and match. The more diverse experiences and opinions and thought processes around the table, the sounder our decisions are. And I'll speak as a woman, being the first woman mayor of Lodi. It's about time, folks. Last time I checked, it's 1920. My grandmother, God rest her soul, Grandma Amy, I'm sure was involved in the suffragette movement. And I think we've come a long ways in 100 years, and yet, excuse me, women are 51% of the population, or 52%, and we just got our first female vice president, really? So I will say to the women, to folks who feel marginalized, please think about getting involved. If this seems overwhelming, there are lots of resources, and I ask my colleagues here to pledge to be willing. If you're interested in running for office, we will help you. So all you have to do, I will work with Blaze to make sure our contact information is posted. Just reach out to us. Let's talk a little bit about the process of running for office. So Carla, when you thought about it, what happened? When you were asked to run, what'd you do from there?
Actually, by the individual, John Plummer was who kind of really helped me, and that John and I are friends, and was very gracious to sit down with me so that I could, what do I need to do?
Excellent.
Down to simply, well, you need to go get signatures, and
Mhm.
and as simply as, which was huge, was make sure you put paid for by Carla Faust on your sign.
Mm.
You know,
Mhm.
not knowing that that had to be present on
Yeah.
it because there's no document that said that. And
Mhm.
so he helped me with kind of the little stuff of, oh, okay, so and how many signs,
Mhm.
you know, do I need? And is 20 enough? I mean, I don't know. And so I mean, all the way down to that level. It was very nice to sit down and say, look at this, look at that, look at this. And
Mhm.
so he kind of walked me through the process, which really helped me. But much like you, not necessarily hoodwinked, but, you know, might have maybe missed some details about how very involved it'll be. And then, just saying, and that, but that's okay, which I would share with somebody. And I get it because you don't want everyone to, well, I can't do that.
Mhm.
Because that's a natural response. And yes, it is a little more time, but I always say that if you want to get something done, ask the busiest person you know. And it's usually the person that'll help you get something done.
Yep.
And so I wouldn't shy away from this if you think that I'm too busy and I can't, now isn't the time.
Mhm.
You'll never find the right time. So if you're so inclined, just jump in and you have people that'll help you.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's really helpful. How about, anybody want to talk about process, or when you think about running?
I guess, well, it's very similar at the county level.
Mhm.
The timing, I think, is a little interesting in that it always seems to creep up on you. I think signatures are due just right after the holidays.
Yes, January 5th this year.
The county board is up every other year on the spring ballot. And so you have to have your signatures collected and submitted at the end of the previous year.
Mhm.
And so that can be a challenge. I took a header on somebody's slippery sidewalk the
Oh.
last time going out and about because,
Mhm.
you know, you're scrapping. Yes, I should have done it much earlier. And you do have to gather, depending on the office you're running for,
Mhm.
a certain level of signatures.
Yes.
So you, I think for me, I think your need maybe around 30 or 35 signatures. I think I gathered around 40 or 50
Mhm.
because they do review them when you hand those signatures in. They do review them.
Mhm.
And I did get a couple that were tossed out because I didn't know they were on the fringe of the town of Lodi, and so
Oh,
they
okay.
couldn't sign my nomination
Mhm.
papers.
Okay.
But along with that, I just simply getting to know your community, I think is important, talking to people.
Mhm.
And I guess along with you, I would make a plea to get folks involved.
Mhm.
The county board is a 28-member board. When I came on the board, we had 5 women out of 28. We
Mhm.
now have 4. And so.
That's the wrong
Not to
direction.
say that we, but yes, to more women, but also just as you say, a diversity of views and backgrounds, I think are really important. And I think just being a community, a sense of awareness and communication are good things. But
Mhm.
the process itself, once those signatures are in and they've been affirmed, you are on the ballot. And from there, I guess it's a matter, as I say, of going out and meeting people and getting involved.
Yes,
It's a little different in West Point.
okay.
In West Point, you don't need to collect signatures.
Ah.
So
At all?
if you live in West Point, welcome to, another chapter in civics, right? West Point caucuses. So on the
Shut up.
second, I know.
I didn't know
It's
that.
fabulous, right?
That's amazing.
Caucus is a process that favors the introverts, who are also interested in serving. I'm an extrovert, so, I was all looking forward to filing my nomination papers in December, going out, meeting my neighbors and getting signatures.
Yeah,
No. In West Point, come to the town meeting
okay.
on the second Thursday in January. If you are a resident of the town, you need two things. You need someone who will nominate you, and you need someone who will second the
The
nomination.
nomination, okay.
And in January, when we hold our caucus and we try to fill those positions,
Mhm.
we will be filling positions for treasurer, for town board, and for one of our town supervisors.
Mhm.
So we have a great need for people to come to that caucus and be willing to serve. Bring somebody along with you, who will nominate you.
Mhm.
Introduce yourself to the group. I promise you, if you've got somebody who's willing to nominate you at that point, there will be someone in the room who will offer a second.
Right. Warm body, second. No, I'm kidding.
We've also had supervisors who have left before the end of their term. So
Mhm.
I was fortunate and was able to appoint someone to come on board as a supervisor.
Excellent. Yeah.
And Carmen went on and ran and was elected as supervisor.
Mhm.
So our board currently is comprised of 2 women and 3 men. And I'd love to have a more diverse representation, on the board. I'm with you completely. The greater a mix of voices that we have at the table, the more likely that we are to come up with a solution that's going to satisfy the greater, percentage of the population.
Absolutely.
So we're primarily older, but Carmen,
Sure.
the youngest, she's at home, full-time job. She's a nurse at UW, 2 kids at home, husband
Bless
is
her.
a farmer.
Yeah.
So, from Carmen, we've also got, a couple of folks who are already retired. 3 on the board have retired, so.
Mhm.
um,
And you don't have to be, so, in the city of Lodi, we try to make all of our committee and commission meetings and council meetings in the evening. So the county board, though, meets during the day. I will say, if you have ever gone to a municipal office or gotten something in the mail and you're like, that's messed up, that should change, run. I neglected to ask someone here.
That is
from-
run for office.
Run for office, yeah, not run in the other direction, sorry. Yes,
Yes.
a little more specific, run for office. I forgot to mention that school board is also up this year.
It is.
How long has
Great.
West Point done caucusing? Forever?
I don't know. I think it's been a long time.
It's so interesting.
Like Carla, I'm a newbie, right? We
Yeah.
moved in 2002, so we're
Okay.
18 years in West Point.
Okay, that's so
I
interesting.
think in a way, I'm thinking back to my home area in Trumbull County. I think that's the way the local officers and town board member was essentially, that would be their annual meeting.
Okay.
And we call that a caucus now, but
Okay,
yeah, you would go and you would get elected right on the spot.
Wow.
So,
Right.
nominated.
That's right. So if there are 3 people nominated for 1 spot,
mm-hmm,
then there is an election held
mm-hmm,
at the caucus
mm-hmm,
because only 2 names will go on the ballot in April.
mm-hmm.
So one person will unfortunately,
Right.
be eliminated,
Sure.
or more
Mm-hmm.
at the caucus. So it's a very interesting process.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Interesting.
So for those not in West Point, for those that need signatures, so the reason we're doing this show today, and it seems like, yes, we did just finish an election cycle, but things have to happen early. So starting December 1st is when you can start circulating nomination papers. And if you go to Google and simply search for the Wisconsin Elections Commission, you'll get to their website, and across the top is a candidates tab, and you just go to candidate and then to local and nonpartisan. And that's going to walk you through county board. There's a checklist that you can print out. This is the checklist that you get, and you can print off your nomination papers. So one thing to know about signatures is when you go around to get signatures, you're not asking people to vote for you. You're simply asking them to sign this so you can get your name on the ballot. They're not committing to voting to you, which makes signature getting a little bit easier. I will help you go door to door if that seems intimidating. It's really way more fun than it sounds. And it is a little scary right now in COVID. We'll stay outside, we'll socially distance, we'll wear our masks. But you do have to collect signatures. So you have from December 1st to Tuesday, January 5th to collect signatures. In the city of Lodi, I think for alders, you have to collect maybe 30 signatures. How many did you need? Do you remember?
Same thing. It was, I think I got 40, but it was around the 30.
Okay. And I think for.
But I believe you can't be, with like saying 3 open positions, you can't sign 3 papers.
Correct.
So,
So once you sign
sign
nomination
yep.
paper for somebody, you can't sign them for somebody else. And Ashley brought something up about being appointed. If you're thinking this is a little too much right now, but you want to get involved, let Ashley or myself know, or reach out to your local municipality and say, yeah, I might be interested. Right now in Lodi, we've just had an EMS commission appointment. We have a library appointment available. Stuff comes up all the time. So if you're interested, we can keep your name on a list. We'll reach out to you when something becomes available. But so you need to circulate your papers. You go on to this website, you register as candidate. It's not a big deal. You circulate your papers, you turn them in. I tell you, it's kind of cool the first time you walk in and see your name on a ballot. I got to say, voting for myself was quite a rush. It's a rush every time, but it's quite a rush to see your own name on a ballot. And it's even more exciting when you get elected. And it's a joy. It can be a headache at times, but you can see what you're doing right in your own backyard. And people, when I got put on council, I thought, oh God, I'm going to get people calling me about, nobody calls. I mean, I rarely get, now that I'm mayor, I get a lot more calls, but I rarely got calls as an alder. And when I did, it was just follow up with the city staff and, and it's pretty easy. And you make a difference when people reach out to you and you can call them back and say, I got an answer on that, or here's what, people are thrilled because it is complex and you don't know where to connect with what service. And I will say a lot of what we do is invisible, and that's the way it should be, I guess. If things are going well, then if the toilet's flushing in the city, life is good, and your garbage is getting picked up, and your streets plowed, and your power is on. For the most part, life is pretty good, and that's a good thing. But that's not all there is, and there are so many needs in our community. Those of you who have been concerned about perhaps some vacant businesses downtown, or lack of affordable apartments, not homes, but apartments here in town. Those are some of the issues that we want to address, and we want you all to get involved. So parting words of wisdom.
Well, just to follow up on a couple of things that you said, I think one of our I take on as part of responsibility, it's not in the job description, but I think we really need to do some educating around local government so that people know what goes on at local government, and that might entice people to get involved. It is, I always feel a little bad that we don't have more folks interested in, because it is where we do touch people's lives on a more regular basis. So I think that's really important, and they again, to communicate with people on a regular basis. So, and the time commitment can be demanding. But at the same time, as Carla said, you never find the right time when all the stars are going to align correctly, and you'll have time to do this. But it can be a very rewarding experience. So I encourage people to give it a go.
Absolutely.
And one other thing, this coming spring, the county board will not be up for election.
Oh, okay. Does the whole board get elected?
The whole board goes up at a time, and so I was just reelected this past spring.
Okay.
So it'll be 2 years. We run every 2 years.
That's so interesting.
So, but it's a wonderful time for people to find more about it. And,
this is true.
As you correctly said, I'd be happy to talk with anybody who might be interested in doing it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, it's great having you here. Ashley.
I'd say, if you're curious, check notices for public meetings. Check notices for public hearings. Attend one.
Right.
You know, ask questions, come and just kind of get a sense of what happens.
Indeed.
You know, in one of my jobs, I scheduled public hearings. I did transit for Sauk County. And you know, I was always surprised. I'd go through the labor of putting out signs, we'd post it on the web, we'd make phone calls, and then there'd be a hearing and I'd be the only one in the room.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, it's really wonderful to have a hearing and have people engage you.
Yeah.
So, you know, come, not just to satisfy your curiosity, but to come and let folks know that you're paying attention.
Absolutely. That's great. Carla?
Exactly that. And you know, good or bad with COVID, most of us are Zooming. And that, so our annual town budget meeting is going to be November 24th, and you can Zoom in. So you can go to the town of Lodi and exactly that. Just peek in. You don't have to sit through a 4-hour meeting. You can pop in on Zoom and listen to some topics. And the other thing is I think we're all accessible via our websites of each municipality.
Yep.
And just, you know, reach out, send an email and ask us about it. But we do have 3 open positions. We do have open positions on the school board. So if you aren't happy or you do want to see change, it's up to you.
Yes.
And so you know, it's similar to vote. You can't complain if you don't vote, but to a point, if you really want to make a change, then get involved, volunteer.
Hear, hear. Oh, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
So we will make sure Blaze gets all of our contact poop and we will put it up. I will say, so I'm sort of retired from a real job. You do get a little compensation for most of these jobs. It's at least a little, maybe spending money. Do you get something for the town board?
Yes, I did not know.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. As an alder in Lodi, I
pleasantly
think it's
surprised when
$200 a
I
month
checked.
that you make. As mayor, you make a whole $800 a month. Woohoo! But it is the joy of feeling such a part of the community. People always call me Mayor Ann, which I'm very startled by, but it's an honor. It's so humbling, and to just feel like we're making a difference. I am retired. What I was about to say was just call us. Call me. I can get you connected with one of these fabulous people or others, and I will happily sit down with you and give you a government 101. I will go collect signatures. We need people to get involved. So please, if you can't do it yourself, you got to know somebody who you think would be really organized person that's, anyway, reach out, let us know. We're happy to help. Thank you. See you in a week. Oh, I forgot to mention, a week from tonight, we're talking with Christy McMorris and holiday shopping locally. So we'll see you in a week. Thanks.
Okay.